The April 15th, 2024 meeting of the Bay City Commission will come to order. The city clerk will give the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Dockett.
I'm here.
Rivet.
Yes.
Bernie.
Yes.
Brunner.
Here.
Hilliker.
Here.
Gerard.
Present.
Nijvecki.
Here.
Clements.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
And Madam Mayor.
Present. I'm not used to getting called on. We have a quorum this evening. The next order of business is presentations, proclamations, awards, and recognitions, and I know we have a presentation this evening. Don't we have a presentation? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Caleb, please come up. Chief.
Good evening. I was asked to come and give a quick presentation on our comeback quick response team. When I say our quick response team, it's kind of disingenuous. We're just a very small portion of it. The actual driving force behind it is sitting right over here, Ms. Zilkowski. But so if there are any questions I can't answer, she's volunteered to help me out. But just to show you the root of the problem, we'll get to what the quick response team is in a better description here in a bit, but just to show you where this stems from. If you go back to 2014, we had 3 non-fatal overdoses that we respond to. And in 2023, you can see it's 87, and it's kind of gotten up to 110 at one point. And the fatalities have also increased exponentially as well from that. So this is the reason we're trying to find a better method. And even though the overdoses may have decreased, these are just the ones that we respond to, so they're the ones we know about. With the availability of Narcan, a lot of people are giving it to their friends or to themselves when they know they're about to overdose. A lot of the overdoses that we respond to, they've already been given Narcan by their friends and it didn't work or it wasn't working quick enough, which is why they called us. It's basically a team to combat drug addiction. It began in December 2021 here in Bay City. The team members include a public safety officer, a peer mentor coach, and a family recovery coach. So the peer mentor coach is somebody who's most likely experienced substance use disorder and can relate to the person who has overdosed, where the family recovery coach has dealt with a family member that has had an addiction, and they're helping the person that overdosed, their family, learn how to cope and give them resources to help. The goal is to get the individuals into treatment, get them help. This is a sample of some of the people that participate in it. You can see there's Lieutenant Lyman and Officer Murphy there in the middle, and a couple of the peer recovery coaches and family recovery coaches standing next to them. This is what they look like when they go out. As you can imagine, people that are addicted to substances don't often want to see a police officer in uniform coming to their door. It's automatically intimidating and shuts them down a little bit. So the soft approach is preferred. Here's a little video that kind of describes it better than I could from the Family Against Narcotics webpage.
My name's Officer Baker. I'm with the Madison Heights Police Department. Been with them for going on 4 years now. I'm part of the quick response team. If we have an overdose in our city, It'll be recorded, and then we'll try to go out to that person within 72 hours and offer them some help. If they'd like a life coach, if they would like to get into rehab, and if the person doesn't want the help at this time, we'll leave some information for them. That way they can always reach out to us.
So right now we're going to go try to make contact with an individual who recently overdosed. I believe it was heroin. And our officers went out about a week ago and had to Narcan him and perform CPR. So we're hoping that he's going to be there today so that we can get him some treatment. Most people are usually pretty open to it because they don't want to be here. Truly, they don't want to be in this position. You know, this is something that they feel trapped in.
What I would like to do is if you give me 3 minutes, bro, I can sign you up for somebody like me. I can personally help you out. Let's do it. All right, you'll have my phone number. I can be your peer recovery coach. And then if you need to get into treatment in a day or 2 days or 3 days, I'll be at your beck and call and I'll help you out.
Before this program, I was one of those people that thought they have a choice, you know. They made this choice. They're here because of themselves. It's pretty incredible that you see that they're actually just at war with themselves, trying to get out of this, but they keep getting gripped back into addiction.
If I can do my part to try to help them out in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to try to help them out.
So like I said, we just started this in December of 2021, so these are some of the statistics from 2022, our first full year of participating in this program. We went to 183 homes, gave out 69 treatment brochures. They distributed Narcan to 47 individuals for family members, provided food for 9 families, did 12 visits to the Bay County Jail, and 5 subjects taken to treatment facilities. And I know every time I've given this presentation to other groups, they always say, geez, only 5 people. Well, it's still 5 people, you know, 5 people that wouldn't have gone to treatment otherwise, most likely. So every person counts, and it's every 183 homes we go to, they at least know somebody out there cares. The little card I gave you there with the Come Back Quick Response is kind of the message that we're trying to get out to people that, you know, you almost died, and there's people out here that care about you. So the first year and several months, the majority of funding for this came from the Bay Area Community Foundation. The counselors and things have to be paid, and actually for the first little while, Ms. Zilkowski believes in this program so much she was paying them out of her own pocket just to make sure it happens. So when I said she's the driving force, that's not that's not lying. In 2023, we visited 97 homes, gave out 45 treatment brochures, Narcan to 15 individuals, provided food for 3 families, and 5 visits to the Bay County Jail, and only 2 subjects taken to treatment facilities. Recently, you guys saw the agreement that we had where we basically came under the FAN umbrella, Families Against Narcotics, where they provide all the funding for the counselors and peer recovery coaches that go out with us. So they provide some clothes, they provide training as well to all the officers that participate with this. And our role is basically to show that we care and to make sure nothing bad happens, to keep the peace. Because as you know, people that suffer from addiction, sometimes they could be high when we get there. They could be suffering from withdrawals. You just never know what might happen. So just kind of to be there, show that we care, and to keep the peace at the same time. These are some of the other participating agencies throughout state that work with FAN and participate in a quick response team of some sort. That's pretty much an overview of it. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to.
Commissioner Clements?
Yes, thank you. Well, this is good stuff. Can somebody like a member of the public that's interested in becoming involved, is this something are they able to come involved, and if so, how?
That's a good question. I know the peer recovery coaches and the family recovery coaches that go out have to have certain training to meet that, but they're always looking for donations of food, all the toiletries and things that they'll hand out to people if they're in need. If you see all the stuff that goes out there is donated items, like when we provide food for families or transportation, gas cards, anything like that people want to donate. FAN is always looking for assistance.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
there anyone else? Commissioner Gerard?
Just real quickly, great program, great presentation. Very happy to see this in our community. Definitely, EAT is great. I sit on the board of Bayark Behavioral Health, and we're a big supporter of this program. We actually have Narcan in vending machines, and so I've been advocating for that to get accessible to in front of people. You know, it's a problem in our community, and the more we're front and face it, the more likely we're going to combat that. So thank you. I'm glad our city's involved, and all the people at FAN and support of all this good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any Commissioner Dockett?
Thank you. Just want to echo, great program, support, awesome. Question for you though, on the visits to jail, is that taking people to jail or going to see people who were already arrested?
People that are in jail, that
Okay.
a lot of times that's a good time to intervene because they're
Right. Okay. I just wanted
hopefully
to
don't have access to.
clarify on that. Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, I just have a quick remark. I can remember attending a meeting over at the Doubletree several years ago, and I had to leave early, but I know that one of the problems that the police departments had was you might have someone who on Tuesday night says, I'll meet you at the department at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and you can take me to start the program. And then in the morning, that person wouldn't be there and they couldn't be found. So I think 5 people and 2 people are better than nothing. And I know that Narcan is so readily available, as Commissioner Gerard said. And I think that really is important for families to know. So I appreciate what you do and what you do. So thank you for bringing it forward tonight.
Thank you.
The next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Do any members of the commission wish to add any item to the agenda? Commissioner Clements?
Yes, I have a resolution I'd like to add to the agenda for Workers' Memorial Day.
Okay, and you will read that out loud? You want that read, or?
I can read it now, or I can read it when it comes on the agenda, whatever.
You can read it now then.
Okay, thank you. Of Commissioner Clements, whereas every year on April 28th, communities and work sites around the world honor friends, family members, and colleagues who have been killed or injured on the job, and whereas in 2022, the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics estimated that 5,486 workers were killed by traumatic injuries on the job, a 5.7% increase from 2021. On average, a worker died nearly every 96 minutes from a work-related injury in 2022. And whereas in 2022, 139 workers' lives were lost through fatal workplace accidents in Michigan. And whereas it is appropriate to honor the memory of the courageous and dedicated members of Michigan's labor force who have been injured or disabled or have died as a result of workplace accidents. And whereas we remember those who have died in workplace catastrophes, suffered occupational-related diseases, or been injured due to dangerous conditions. And whereas recognition of the integrity of Michigan's workforce and its achievements on behalf of the economic growth of our state is necessary. And whereas the Bay City Commission wishes to pay tribute to the workers who have died or been injured or disabled in workplace accidents. We honor the contribution of Michigan's workforce and call for increased workplace safety. And whereas the Bay City Commission renews our efforts to seek stronger workplace safety and health protections, better standards and enforcement, and fair and just compensation, and by rededicating ourselves to improving safety and health in every workplace. Now, therefore, be it resolved that April 28th, 2024 is Workers' Memorial Day in Bay City, and honor the contributions of Michigan's workforce and support safety and health in every city workplace.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there anything that you would like to place on the agenda? You all set? Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Commissioner Brenner?
Move to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second? Commissioner Morris?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the agenda?
Commissioner Rivet?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yeah.
Brunner?
Yes.
Hilliker?
Yes.
Gerard?
Yes.
Nizveki?
Yes.
Clements?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Docket?
Yes.
9 yes votes.
It is adopted. The next order of business is the consent agenda. Do any members of the commission wish to make a change to the consent agenda? Commissioner Burney?
Number 10.
I'm sorry, which number?
10.
And can you give us a brief explanation of what it is, please?
Yes, it's about the recreational equipment for $255,000 for Maplewood Park.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other commissioners have an item to replace or to be placed on the regular agenda, the next order of business calls for public input on the consent agenda. This is the opportunity for citizens to remove an item from the consent for consideration on the regular agenda. If anyone in the audience wishes to make a change, please come to the microphone, sign the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record, and the item you wish to have considered on the regular agenda. Seeing no one come forth, is there a motion on the consent agenda? Commissioner Dockett?
Thank you. Move to approve the consent agenda?
Is there a second? Commissioner Gerard?
Second?
Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the consent agenda?
Commissioner Burney?
No.
Commissioner Brunner?
Yes.
Hilliker?
Yes.
Gerard?
Yes.
Nizveki?
Yes.
Clements?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Docket?
Yes.
Rivet?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
The recommendations have been approved. The next order are remarks of the mayor and commission. I just want to remind everyone that in a week or 2 weeks, we'll have the, you can take all your recycling to our recycling place over on First Street. It's by the old Ball Diamond off of Woodside. There's a whole list that you can find, and that'll be a drop-off day, I believe, from 9 until 2. I could be wrong, but that information is also available for you. I'd like to thank Commissioner Dockett for filling in for me. He's done a great job. I watch the meetings at home, so thank you, Commissioner. And I think that's all I really have to say right now. So any commissioners have to have a comment? Commissioner Brunner?
Yes, thank you. A couple of things. Obviously, a lot of us are doing yard cleanup right now, and we always want to make sure that we are not brushing things into the street. There are definitely ordinances against that, so please make sure you're putting it in yard waste bags and or the trash cans as well. Also, through the chair to the city manager, you and I have had a couple of email discussions in regards to the parking situation on 19th and South Van Buren in regards to commercial vehicles. Do we have any progress on that at this time?
I believe the trailer was removed, and Sue has done some notification too, and she's looking into the businesses that are being run out of a home, is my understanding, because those are commercial vehicles from a business being run out of a home.
Correct. There's also a box truck and I believe another trailer that's already parked over there. I've gotten pictures from the residents within the last couple days that either the equipment is back or they've added more. Okay. So if we could have that checked into, that'd be great.
Okay, good to know.
I believe that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Burney?
Yes, I made a mistake here. I support the NAACP. Want you to know that. I wasn't thinking when I said I don't support your NAACP. I support you all the way. At some point, I will address the funding that was supposed to be give you some relief with the NAACP with funding that was allocated to you at some point. I will address that with my other colleagues at some point. Now, down to business. I would like to address Commissioner Dockett and ask you a few questions from the last meeting. Commissioner Dockett, the last meeting on April 1st, when I asked to censor Commissioner Clements for signing a $20,000 contract for an organization per another employee's request, or the go-ahead, which states in BJA Government 18 US.S.C. said 208 violation of conflicts of interest. Commissioner Dockett, can you clarify the statement that in the effect of saying that we all do that, the commissioners, to the public? Can you just clarify, that statement?
Commissioner Dockett, I'm sure you know you don't have to answer anything. That now is, as Sergeant at Arms, now is really not the time for this. I know you know all that. Commissioner Burney can speak, say whatever she wants, ask whatever questions of anyone. No one has to answer any of these questions or respond in any way, just so you know that, which I'm sure you do, but for everybody else as well.
Thank you. I will give a brief answer on this. The question was about 2 weeks ago, was about people being involved in things other than the city in the community. And I'm pretty sure that everybody here is involved in the community in some way other than through the city. So if we're not allowed to be involved in things other than the city, then we are all guilty of being involved in other things in the city. That's really it. I don't have anything else to say on it, so you can keep asking though.
Okay, thank you. My other question, you can answer me or not. Commissioner Girard, I would like to know, were you sitting on the commission seat in June 6, 2020, while you signed a $800,000 mortgage naming State Theater as the borrower? The public would like to know that. And they would also like to know about the Lafayette Bridge that you are the commissioner. Will they be tolling that, or are we going to sell that also? And will there be a toll for that?
Is this directed to Commissioner Girard?
I don't believe it's
Yeah.
appropriate for as a back and forth at this point.
I think you're not understanding the question, so we'll just go to the next.
Hold on, point of order, as I said. Commissioner Burney, you can speak however you wish, but no commissioner has to respond in any way.
Thank you.
I would like to address the Sergeant at Arms. In Robert Rules, when I ask a question to a commissioner, they are to answer with yes or no, Commissioner Clements. Without asking that, answering anything, this is not for me, this is for the public. So when you say they don't have to answer anything, that right there looks guilty and untransparent. So
Call the police, they're sitting right there. Call them. We'll see what they do.
I'm not talking to you. Point of order. I am talking to Commissioner Girard. I would like to ask you that question again. This has nothing to do with the State Theater.
With all due respect, Commissioner Burney, state your statement. I'll have a statement shortly. Thank you.
I'm asking, you are the 6th Ward Commissioner. Is the Lafayette Bridge going to have tolling also once it is repaired?
I mean, I can answer that. It is a state bridge, so the state would determine if it's tolling. My understanding, it is not going to be a toll bridge, or there's no thoughts on it being a toll bridge. So but I don't have any control over it. You have to ask your state representative and state senator.
All right, thank you. And last but not least, I have a question for the city manager. The last time we were here, Bay City Bridges came, and they were talking to us about the transponders. And first of all, I don't know why they had so much time at the podium when they are not they're not intertwined with us or so have you. We're not affiliated with them, but they had a lot of time speaking with us about the transponders and about the city of Bay City, the community, having to give them their credit card and debit card numbers. I'm wondering, we were not supposed to pay until 2028. Is that correct?
Correct, for Liberty, yes.
So why is our community being charged? The first question. Invoices have been coming out. If we weren't supposed to be charged, I'd like to know, is there a breach in the contract with them? Can we have our attorneys come back in, look, we need to check into this and see if they've breached this contract in any way, because the community, I don't feel that they should have to give their private information like their credit card and their debit card information. A lot of people don't have that. So I'd like to know, I'd like to bring in those attorneys' hours and go through that contract again for the community and see if there's any way we can get around that. And if not, I feel that they need to give prepaid visas or debit cards for the community, that the people that cannot afford or don't have the credit cards or debit cards. And that's all I have to say. If you answer that question, then I don't have to go any further, but can you answer that for us, please?
I believe someone is here from Bridge Partners that we can talk to after about the procedures as far as having cards on file and city residents being free. If you would like the attorneys to come back, that would have to be a vote of the commission to have them come back and go through the contract with you, if that's what you wish.
Well, I'm asking you some of the questions I asked you. I wasn't here when you voted this in about the bridge. You were the one that talked with the commission. You were over the funding. You were over a lot of, you were a big part. And so what I'm saying is, why wasn't, I really feel the public should have had a say over that. And as I said, I think being the city and the taxpayers, we pay, I feel that there should be something we can come up with and talk to each other, the commissioners, that would help the community to get prepaid credit cards. If you want credit card numbers and debit card numbers, that is private and ridiculous. They never said that. All of a sudden, this is happening. People are getting bills and invoices, so I feel that needs to be taken care of. Thank you.
You're all set? Is there anyone else? Commissioner Gerard.
Couple things. I did put in everybody's station. I didn't bring this forward tonight. I just wanted to have a discussion. It's a discussion amongst the community members about the marijuana funding, where that's going. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't give one up. There. And so I wanted to open it up for discussion. I know we had last year about 700,000. This year's 900,000. It goes into our general fund. It gets allocated to various projects and programs within the city. But there's some concern about accountability for this. So I bring it forward as part of discussion. Okay. So I brought that there. The second thing I want to talk about, May 7th there's an EPA revolving loan fund open house, which will be here at rooms 317, and it's from 4 to 6 p.m. Essentially, it's $1 million that the city received. I think we talked about it. And so that money will be able to go out for projects into the community that help with development, and they'll talk about all the parameters for that program. Again, it's May 7th from 4 to 6 at 317. Last issue. So I'm going to offer Commissioner Burney some grace here, because Commissioner Burney maybe doesn't know some things, making some assumptions. She's reading into things that she doesn't understand in the paper. So the board president of the Growth Alliance is like the mayor, where you actually, the board members vote, and then the board president actually does what, like we do in the commission. If we agree to something, she may not agree with it, but you sign the document. So the similar position is the board chair of the Growth Alliance. It's a non-voting position. I actually did not vote on that particular arrangement. The $800,000 was a loan that actually was part of a bigger project. It was $1.3 million for the band shell. And so money is not missing. So I know it's been said a couple times, misleading folks that there's money missing. There's no money missing. Actually, all the receipts were to be provided. So just so the correct information is out there. And actually, nothing was hidden. It was actually recorded in the county, that mortgage on that building. Also, there is an active investigation still, as far as I understand. And so more specific details wouldn't be released until that issue's been resolved. Finally, I do believe in freedom of speech, and I think it's important that there are things that should be in the public, and I believe sunshine is the best disinfectant. However, there are some legal terms when you start saying things that I recommend you look up. It's called libel, slander, defamation, and perjury. Those are legal terms that I would recommend you review, because things that you say, there's liabilities involved with those. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Clements.
Yes, thank you. Couple of simple things. I was going to call it in earlier, but I probably already got to it. There was a unlicensed vehicle parked on Lincoln about 3 blocks south of Woodside today around noon. It was actually parked on the wrong side. It was a Buick, like Century, Gold Century on Lincoln, unlicensed. And then 700 and 300 blocks of Catherine Street have been sending complaints about people are putting those portable basketball hoops in the street. And then, and the last thing is there's been some discussion about United Bridge Partners coming and speaking. They speak during public comment as anybody can, and there's nothing we can do about it. I'm not, if you ask United Bridge Partners, they'll probably tell you I'm not a real big fan of them either, but they have every right to come here and speak during public comment, as does any other person or group. And there's nothing we could do about it. And if we did tell them that they couldn't, I'm sure we'd be getting letters from fire. So you can't have it both ways. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rivet.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The last meeting I attended, we were given bad information about the master plan. We, in fact, can approve it. By simple resolution of this body, we can assume control of the master planning approval process. I have great concern over the fact that we were provided bad information, right? And it concerns me that it took me maybe 5 minutes to review the statute and find that out. So my concern was heightened tonight when I understand that a correction was given to the board officers, commission officers, and not to the commission itself. I guess I'd like some explanation from the city manager as to how she communicates with commissioners. Bad information was given to me as a commissioner Improved information was provided only to selective commissioners. So I spent time reviewing this, which is certainly not my job, and have drafted a resolution, and for all I know, it's all been addressed. So I think we have an issue with communication of commissioners by the manager. Second, 302 Trumbull was the property owners of 302 Trumbull were they made aware of the Construction Board of Appeal process that they could appeal or they could attempt to get a variance from the construction code through our Construction Board of Appeals? It's a simple question. Were they made aware that they have an opportunity through the Construction Board of Appeals to get a variance from the construction code so they can operate as a healthcare bed and breakfast?
Excuse me, Commissioner, isn't that Tuscola? Oh, it's a
302 Tuscola?
Is it Tuscola? I can go back and look at the letter that was sent to them and answer you, because we did send them a letter from the city. So I can get that information and send it to you. I can send you the letter that we sent them.
Okay. I guess I would be surprised if they were informed of that, because they eventually called the state senator's office looking for help. And I guess I'd be surprised if they knew there was an avenue for variance or appeal, that they wouldn't have pursued that prior to going to the state for assistance. And I guess I attended a meeting where that was not discussed, and I'm curious, right? We have a Construction Board of Appeals for that very reason. If we truly want to serve our residents, we provide them all options and opportunities to be able to best utilize their property to enhance the community, and that is a viable option. Finally, we are going to increase, or there was a fee schedule change for large items. On numerous occasions for red lines, we just increased trash collection by 15%. If anybody's paying attention to the state budget, it's likely we're going to have to increase it again by a larger margin, because the tipping fees are likely going to escalate significantly. So when I read a memo that says, upon review of the Sanitation Division fee schedule, we have changes that need to be made, I thought it was this commission's responsibility to determine needs and costs for the citizens of this community. To simply suggest that fees need to be raised without a healthy conversation amongst those elected to represent them, I think is problematic. And at the very least, I would have expected a red line to find out how much these were going to increase, because we've asked that on several occasions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Nidbit.
Thank you. A couple meetings ago, there was a moment of silence for the passing of an out-of-town politician. Two, in fact. I'm grateful to not have participated in this travesty, especially now that many in our community are still freshly mourning the passing of our own battalion chief, Terry Collins. Although it appears nobody else in this room has given him a second thought, since we did not have a moment of silence for that hero. Terry Collins proudly and bravely served Bay City for 25 years with our fire department. He risked it all for the people and property of our community. In fact, I'm weeks away from marrying one of our heroes that Terry unselfishly led out of a burning home when RJ had a major equipment failure. There are people here today who would not be here today because of Battalion Chief Collins, a true hero and a lifesaver. For this commission not to take a moment to honor this hero is appalling to me. I have been stalked, I have been harassed and lied about on the internet. We've had childish people do burnouts on the street in front of our home at midnight, and I've brushed all that dirt off my shoulder because it's dirt. But I will not remain in a group that has shown so little respect for one of our community's heroes. Please consider this my formal resignation. Good night.
How about that?
She was speaking about Terry Collins, who served for 25 years on the fire department. I knew him well. I wasn't here at that last meeting, which would have been the night. I'm shocked, though, that she would resign. She's been a great commissioner. Commissioner Clements?
I don't know for sure, but just saying you resign, I don't know if that is actually an official resignation, if it has to be in writing. So something we probably have to look into.
Yes.
Thanks.
Oh, tonight? And it also would have to be received once she would give us a handwritten
It's on,
resignation.
it's on the record. It's during a meeting, so.
So we will, the clerk's office will probably reach out to her. So is there anyone else who would like to make a remark? Commissioner Gerard?
Just clarification from Commissioner Rivet's comments, because I was reading those fees schedule, and I first initially read them as an increase. My understanding after the email that Commissioner Dockett sent out, they actually remove all those fees. Is that correct? Or?
There was one addition at the bottom. I'm looking for it right now, but there was the bottom of the memo. The rest were all being removed from the fee schedule.
Okay, because I first misread that as an increase.
Yeah, I know Jesse had said the same thing.
Okay, and so but there are increases in the bottom of the schedule.
There is one increase, yes.
The tipping fees, is that something we can have a presentation on, or what's being, has anything been approved yet, or?
So we absolutely can do a presentation on tipping fees. We've been watching it, and we have discussed it with our legislators, as well as the impact it's going to have on our community, giving them dollar figures. So, yeah, we can do a presentation, because it is going to hamper the budget.
So we can at least do some advocacy if we need to, if it hasn't been enacted yet. So,
Yes,
all right, thank you.
absolutely.
Commissioner Dockett?
Thank you. I have several things. I actually agree on the red line piece. Anytime that there's I know that we've introduced this into the packets for commission, but anytime there's a fee increase, that would also be very helpful as well, because it's kind of annoying to go try and track it down every time, so I agree with that. I have some questions, I guess. We have the Earth Day cleanup in the near future. I know we used to have Little League come. I know that ended. What do we do with all the mulch now? What happens to all of that? Does it just go to a landfill? What?
Yeah, is it going to the landfill, Bob? Yes. Yeah.
How much does it cost to bring that back? Because that was a really cool program.
Do you want to come up and talk about why?
I mean, it's fine. We can
Yeah.
get it at the next
Okay.
meeting if
Okay.
if you can provide a statement on it at the next meeting.
We absolutely can.
We are getting through the ARPA process, like through the timeline for ARPA, and we haven't had an update in a little while. I know that there are some organizations that have spent their full funding and some organizations that have spent very little. Is there a way that we can get a presentation on like when a point of no return is, where we say, okay, if you're not spending the money, we have to reallocate it somewhere else? I know that Commissioner Burney had asked about that in email, and I think that is a very good point, that there are some dollars that are sitting out there and we don't want them to go to waste. Yep. So I agree with that. The brush truck is out. I know that the brush truck only makes a stop at each house one time in the month of April. I had a question today about when it's going to be in my neighborhood, not my neighborhood, but the caller's neighborhood. And is there a calendar with a rough map somewhere that we can get?
So the east side.
Yeah, it's just east and west was all I saw. It was like a 15-day block.
Yeah, so
Pretty big.
today was actually a switch over to get to the west side, but I don't know that they got through the whole east side yet.
Okay.
They haven't been to your block yet?
Not my block personally. There was a caller. I don't remember his exact address off the top of my head, but he said.
Typically on the 15th is our switch over to the other side of town.
Yeah, because he called me and said, I put brush out. Nobody came and picked it up. And I was like, well, when did you put it out? He's like, well, Sunday. I was like, well.
Oof, if they already buy, can you get me their
right at the
address?
end. Yeah, I can track down the address. Thank you. Budgets are on everybody's desk. Budget season, as the people who come here a lot know, is my favorite season of the year. We have budget meetings in May. I believe they're the first 3 Mondays, right? It's first 3 Mondays at 5:30. So we'll have those. You're invited. See where the money's going. That's always exciting. Let's see here. On Commissioner Gerard's marijuana for the streets, I think it's a great idea, but I do want to set the right expectation for residents with it. It is not a panacea. Last I checked, the shortfall in streets was like $400 million, and the marijuana tax generates like $1 million. You do the math, that's 400 years. That's not going to fix the problem by itself. It is obviously going to help, but I do want to set the expectation that it is not going to just fix all of the problems when we do that. So just putting it out there ahead of time, like I support it. I think it's a great thing, but we definitely need to do more. And then the last one I have is I've noticed Commissioner Clements commented on a car that was parked the wrong way on the street. I've noticed a ridiculous amount of people running red lights, running stop signs, parking the wrong direction, speeding, squawking their tires, doing all kinds of dangerous things. The last 3 or 4 months at this point, there was a car that was parked the wrong way at my in-laws' house, not at their house, but like down the street, and somebody ran into it because the reflectors were backwards. Is there a way that we can do some sort of program to discourage people from doing that? And I know that this is a big undertaking, but one thing that I've seen in other communities is a bounty program where you take a picture, it's got the license plate in it, you send it off. Now I know that like for running a stoplight, criminal offenses, that type of thing, you run into problems, but like parking the wrong direction, that's, it's dangerous. And they're parking in no parking spots, they're parking in front of fire hydrants, it's like lawlessness on the streets. And it's not everybody, obviously, but it's enough that I've noticed an uptick. So I'd like to explore some sort of program to remedy that because it is problematic and dangerous. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? The next order of business is the manager's report. Do you have any remarks?
A couple things have already been mentioned by the commissioners. I do want to hit again on the brush collection. Yard waste did start on April 1st, and the brush collection, like I said, was supposed to switch over to the west side today. Typically, they're running a little behind, so in the next few days, we should be over on the west side. The only other thing that I do want to highlight is next Wednesday on the 24th is Professional Admin Day, so we have a lot of administrative assistants at the city, so I do want to thank all of our admins and recognize them for their service to the city.
Thank you. The next order of business calls for public input. Under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Hilliker will serve as timekeeper. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding any agenda item or any other matter. If anyone wishes to address the commission, please come forward, sign the registration sheet, and state your name and address for the record. And the person who is the timekeeper is Commissioner Clements.
Sorry, I got kind of a jump start up here. My name's Andrew Thibodeau, 610 16th Street. I wanted to comment briefly on the ORT overdose opioid response team. Is that what it is? Yeah. There's one thing I'd like to know exactly is the locations of where the response team goes to. In particular, how many cases do we have in public housing where that is federal and they don't allow stuff like weed in there, and they take a very close eye on who goes there and who doesn't? And in particular, I'd like to know how many are there, because I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I'm going to say that a lot of these opioid users are in slum homes. And if people are afraid to address the issue in their neighborhood, if they have several vehicles coming and going at strange times of the night, leaving their cars running, moving stuff in and out, we don't know what they're doing. They're afraid to report that to Viper, what have you, and therefore it continues, and then that leads to an overdose because the landlord doesn't care unless the deposit's going in the bank every month. So they're not going to go out on a limb themselves and question what's going on there, even if there's a question, things are in question by neighbors or what have you. Continuing on, again, I said my name's Andrew Thibodeau. I'm from the 4th Ward. I'm running for City Commission to replace Brent Brunner. I think Brent has done a good job over his years here in the commission. I actually visualized a lot of things that he's done, and I'll just leave it at that and give him credit for what he's done as a public servant, and hopefully I can win his spot. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself briefly, and if it's above 5 minutes, just cut me off. Number one, I saved your First Amendment rights here at the City Commission using an organization called FIRE, and that was due to your mayor, Catherine L. Newsham, rejecting your freedom of speech rights as a public speaker coming up here. She had rules that were against the First Amendment. So I did save that. I restored blighted county properties. I worked for Bay County. I did a lot of things like paint the shed behind the jail, but I'm no, stranger to labor and hard work, and everybody hates painting, so. Challenge city code enforcement with new objectives. I have been in contact with Sue Coggins and asking questions, but I'm yet to meet with them in person and go over exactly how code enforcement works, but I did bring up some new ideas and emails for them to consider. I did save Bay City State Recreation Areas, Tobico Towers. I started the fundraiser for that. There is a small tidbit. The fundraiser saved Tobico Towers. It ended up, it's on YouTube, the tidbit's on YouTube if you ever look it up. It ended up raising around $70,000 and saved the towers. So I know a lot of people have been there and really love those landmarks and use them. And I've been here for 10 years, and that's the first thing I did when I came to Bay City. Earned a bachelor's degree in science and sociology, undergraduate in communications, and a master's degree in public administration. And that's one reason why I'm going to make this run, is to make good use of that and help people out here in Bay City. I am anti-Bay City Bridge Partners. I am for stopping fiscal illusions. I am for expanding code enforcement. I am for lowering city user fees. I think there should be less outreach and more transparency here in Bay City government. Neighborhoods first, before corporate business ventures. Better streets and sidewalks. Focus on public safety and fire's budget demands. Now, I wrote that down before Shelley left out tonight. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of what happened, and that her fiance works for the fire department, etc. But prior to going into this run, I had called down there to the union, the fire department's union, seeking an endorsement. And the head of that union told me that they had problems with getting all the funding they needed here for the police and fire department's operations. So that's one of my primary concerns, especially after this. Use grant money wisely for best utility.
Excuse me, sir, your time is up.
Okay, and find high-tech company lures. Thank you very much tonight.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission?
Alex DeWitt, 39 South Erie. First thing I want to bring up is in the budget packet. I didn't pull these because these were not something that I figured needed to be pulled. They were just something that I wanted to note. In the actual full budget packet, there were 3 different standards for which the budgets for, I gotta pull it up here. Yeah, it's kind of time. For the Valley Sign, the Sinclair Recreation, and the pavement maintenance, one of them had bid proposals and the analysis numbers. Only one of them had dollar signs for everybody. I think that I don't know if it's because they're from different departments, if that's a mismatch that needs to be aligned at an organizational level, or if certain projects aren't clarified as in requiring the budget bidding analysis. And then hearing that there was a possible rules breach for the master plan presentation last month. I have other problems with it. One of them, and I want to mention this big one here, is that it makes a claim that the citizens by and large have access to sidewalks. There are at least 20 specific blocks with residents in my little zone, not my ward, in my zone of my city, that have no sidewalks servicing houses. Plus, when you get down off Betts Bridge here, once it flips to city property in Uptown, you can't get to Uptown on a sidewalk from Betts Bridge. You have to go all the way around or risk getting hit by a car going 35 down that ramp because you don't slow down that quickly. And then you get all the way in here and there's 3 or 4 blocks where there's no sidewalks. You have to get all the way through. It's not pedestrian friendly. It is very frustrating that claims that are made in these documents are easily provable to not exist. There's contradictions in it, saying that we need to preserve the historic design of the Bay City. Fine, that's an objective. That's an objective that the group wanted to go with. That's a perfectly fine objective. A few pages later, it says we need to have new modern housing and new modern designs. You can't have both. If you have one objective, you have to focus on the objective. If you want a varied plan, you can state that, but you have to state that you want a varied plan. I don't think this is done well. And just, now hearing that there might be a rules breach as well, what is going on? I just want things to work well, and I want it to work well for everyone. Shoot, even when you get notice for zoning board of appeals, someone I know who lives down by 1001 Garfield, that was brought to zoning board, a whole bunch of neighborhoods showed up protesting it, and the change was tabled. That is now on a separate agenda in a different group, or on a different board, and those residents, I've had 2 of them come to me and say, why weren't we told that this is on a different agenda to be approved by now Planning Commission? They were told at that zoning meeting that you guys would be told, or that you guys, the citizens in that neighborhood, would be told this is on another agenda. It's not another agenda, and they were not told. So then now they're self-educating their neighborhood about it. Self-education's fine, but when they're told something and then it gets passed to a different group and they're not told that, that's another problem. It's just small things. Small things I think could go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. Else?
Good evening, everyone. This is Melinda Schreiner, representing Bay City Bridge Partners. The information I'm going to share with you this evening is designed to keep you informed, but also to help you keep your constituents informed. And hopefully I'll be able to answer one of your questions. Independence Bridge did reopen to traffic this morning, as scheduled. Here's what's been happening on Independence. The crew finalized installation and alignment of mechanical and control systems for the west bascule leaves. They completed testing and commissioning of the west southbound bascule systems. This included multiple test openings last week. They completed additional steel and concrete repairs, continued to remodel the operators building, including installation of new windows. They began removing the deck for the northbound lanes, switched traffic to the southbound lanes, and did reopen for the road and river traffic that begins today. And the focus for the coming weeks will be removing and replacing the northbound deck and bridge bearings, as well as off-site rehab of mechanical components. I did want to say that city residents are not required to provide debit or credit card information. It is recommended but not required. And everyone in the city, a city of Bay City resident should be free until 2028 on Liberty, until 2030 on Independence. If a city resident is getting a bill, either they don't have a transponder, they didn't properly install a transponder, they drove over with a trailer or a camper, or there's a mistake. So please come and see us at 300 Center Avenue, or you can call the 855 number. It's 855-648-4330, and we can fix anything that is not correct. Also, just wanted everybody to remember that the reason that City of Bay City residents have to have a transponder to get that free tolling is that's how you're identified as a city resident. Otherwise, we have to go searching for registered vehicle owners by license plate and incur that added cost for billing, and that's why the pay-by-plate rate is more. If someone does receive a pay-by-mail invoice and they're a city resident, it is waived. The first one is waived if they come in by the time, the due date of the invoice. And if they are a non-resident, it is slashed to the transponder rate. Okay? Thanks so much.
Thank you. Commissioner, you can't respond, but maybe she can wait after the meeting. You can talk with her. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Carly Rose Hammond, and I'm here to thank you, especially to Commissioner Clements, for bringing up the Workers' Memorial Day resolution. I wanted to just thank this commission again for their hard work on keeping workers safe in this city. I know you all have done a lot of work towards responsible contracting ordinances, being a leader in this state in protecting workers. And as the resolution states, unfortunately, in 2022, which is the most recent year we have for worker statistics, there was a 5% increase from the previous year in worker deaths on the job. And it's so important to note that as we have these infrastructure projects going up across our country, going up across Michigan, we are seeing more people employed, which is great, but if we don't have protections for their workers, we're giving them a bad deal. It's not a help to have a good paying job if you can't go home at the end of the day. It's not a help to anybody if we're sacrificing our workers and their lives and their health and safety to improve our roads. So I wanted to thank this commission for yet again committing to workplace safety, committing to workers, and continuing every single day to make the city of Bay City a better place to be, a better place for people to call home, and keeping its commitment to working people and working families in this state. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Afternoon. Craig Coakley, 509 North Johnson, 2nd Ward. Homeowner there for about 30 years, lived there pretty much since 1976, so close to 50 years. First of all, with the credit card on the Bridge Partners, we did go down and take ours off. Was no problem. They took it right off. All you got to do is go down there and ask them. The reason I'm here today is I just don't understand the bike lanes that are going on Johnson Street. I don't see the end game on it. I don't see us continuing them on to the Riverwalk and taking away parking from the Columbus business or the Johnson Street business. So we have a 7-block area with turn lanes on each end that don't have room to put 2 bike paths through. So it's basically be a 6-block path. I like to bike ride. I do bike ride. My wife likes to bike ride. I have never gone to her, Heidi, let's go for a 6-block bike ride. I just don't understand it. The parking's been on the west side of that street forever. I've been told that nothing can be changed, but I would feel remiss if I didn't come up here and say something. I did have an opportunity to talk to a bunch of the neighbors, and out of the neighbors I did talk to, one didn't care one way or the other because his car got hit one day. But everybody else just doesn't understand it. Who parks there? St. Patrick's Day? All the way down to, who knows, 10th, 11th Street. Anytime Central plays football or any other major events, they park on Johnson Street. My area, where do I get to park now? McKinley shut off, no parking. 7th Street between Johnson and Tuscola, during school hours, no parking. So we have around the corner in 7th Street that there are already a half a dozen cars parked at. The crossing guard who works the corner of Johnson Street and McKinley, she uses that. she parks there, she gets in her car when the weather's a little cooler, or she's waiting in between kids coming across. There's going to be nowhere for her to park now. The last couple weekends, we had some gorgeous weather. I'm privy to having a security camera on the front of my house. I could pretty much count on one hand how many people use their bikes. Most of the time when they go to Washington School, they go up the 7th Street corridor or they go up the McKinley corridor. If they're going to Central, just go by the school and tell me how many bikes you see parked at the school. And once in a while we see some, but there's not many. I don't know about you, but if I have to go to the hospital for anything, I'm generally not riding my bike to the hospital. And that's pretty much it. I just don't understand the end game. If you were to tell me you're going to connect it to the rail trail, I can support it. I just don't see a 6-block bike trail in the middle of the city with no end game. It just seems like somebody's just trying to do something to do something. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
And like I said, I can come back with reports on my camera and let you know how many people actually do use it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do appreciate everything everybody does.
Is there any?
Hi, my name is Heather Bishop, and I've been talking to Brent about the commercial vehicles parked
Ma'am,
on...
what's your address, please?
718 South Van Buren Street. Do I have to hit a button up here? Okay. I'm quite loud. There we go. Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. Anyway, my address is 718 South Van Buren Street, and I've been speaking with Brent about the commercial vehicles parked on the street. Never mind that it looks terrible. It's a public safety issue because he parks them on both sides of the street in front of his house. So let's forget about a school bus or a snow plow getting through. A fire truck or an ambulance couldn't get to somebody who needs it. And now he's taken to parking around the corner in front of my neighbor's house. He has no consideration for anybody else in the neighborhood. And like I said, it looks terrible, but we have a lot of older neighbors. Older people tend to sometimes need an ambulance. And the trip around the block could mean a matter of life or death. And it's been going on for months that I've been talking to Brent about this. So our street is actually too narrow to even park on both sides anyway. It would be a wonderful idea to just park on one side. Tell us what side to park on, we'll park on it. My husband and I, we don't have to use the street, but some people do. I understand that. They've got more than 2 cars. The streets are too narrow in the south end to be parking on both sides, no matter where you go. So that's it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else coming to speak, the next order of business is public hearings. We don't have any. We'd have none this evening, so we'll go to special orders. We have no special orders, so unfinished business is next. And we're going back to the regular agenda for item number 10. Be doing number 1 first.
Item number 1, Commissioner Clemens' resolution waiving $2,988 of the 2023 RibFest invoice and issuing a new invoice in the amount of $2,535 due prior to the 2024 RibFest permit being issued.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Brunner?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Clements?
Second.
Will the clerk please call the roll after the discussion? Commissioner Clements?
Yes, just a little bit of explanation about this, and want to thank Commissioner Dockett and City Manager for working on this and coming up with what's something that's fair for everybody. You know, after RibFest, there was some damage to the grounds at Vets Park, landscape damage, lawn damage, and you know, there was the RibFest did hire Weiss Property Management to fix the damage. And, you know, after that, there was still some damage, and it was disputed about what was damaged, what wasn't. And Bay Landscaping was hired by the city to fix it. And, you know, the Bay Landscaping bill was pretty high. Their labor charges were pretty high. So, you know, in good faith, working with the Rib Fest, what we came up with was that the city and Rib Fest will split the labor charges, and that the city will pay for the grass seed, and the Rib Fest is paying for the topsoil and the debris removal, is how these amounts came to be. So that's an explanation of it. So once again, thank you, Commissioner Dockett and City Manager, for working with me on this and coming up with, I think, what's fair for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gerard, did you have your hand up?
No, that's all I wanted, is just explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the motion to approve?
Commissioner Brunner,
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
Gerard,
Yes.
Nijveki, Clements,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Dockett,
Yes.
Rivet,
Yes.
Bernie,
Yeah.
8 yes.
The motion is approved. The next order, please.
Commissioner Clements, resolution regarding Workers' Memorial Day.
Commissioner Clements,
Move to approve.
Commissioner Gerard,
Second?
and Commissioner, you were gonna second, right? I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Commissioner Clements?
Yes, just one thing. I don't know if the commission would like to amend this to of commission as a whole. I'd be more than open to that and would support it. Think that's what Commissioner Dockett was going to suggest.
Commissioner Dockett?
Thank you. I do want to thank Commissioner Clements for catching this. I missed it initially until today when he sent me a message about it. I would like to make an amendment to make it of commission as a whole. It sounds like he is agreeable to that, so I'd like to make that amendment, please.
Does anyone disagree with that? Is there any discussion on making it the commission as a whole? Seeing none, Commissioner Clements?
Oh, just one more thing. I want to thank Carly Rose. She spoke earlier during public comments. She's the one that sent it to me and gave me the reminder. And so I want to thank her for what she does for labor in the area and being so diligent. So thank you, Carly.
Yes, I would like to thank you too, and thank you for bringing it up, because I go down to U of M often, and right now the highways are like crazy down there. There's work being done, and it seems like we have had more people killed when they've been out directing traffic or working on their job in the last year or two. And you know, they don't have the chance to say goodbye to their loved ones, and they don't deserve to have that happen to them. My son works in construction, and luckily he's not on roads. He's 700 feet high in the air, but he's secured, so I don't have to worry so much. But thank you, Commissioner Clements. Yeah, there's no objections to amend this, correct? Okay. Would you please call the roll on the amendment, please?
We're going to call the roll on the resolution as amended. Commissioner Hilliker,
Yes.
Gerard,
Yes.
Clements,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Dockett,
Yes.
Rivet,
Yes.
Bernie,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
8 yes.
It is approved. The next item, please.
Reports of officers, item 10, City Manager recommending contract with Sinclair Recreation, Holland, Michigan, for the purchase and installation of playground equipment and the installation of exercise equipment at Maplewood Park in the amount of $255,000.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Dockett?
Thank you. Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner Bernie, you want to second it, or you want to speak to it?
I would like to second it.
No, Commissioner Brunner seconded it. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Bernie, you have the floor.
I am really upset when I see that we're asking for $255,000 for playground equipment when we could use that money for sidewalks and streets. I don't think that we should use $255,000 for toys for children to play on. I think we should use the $255,000 for streets for their parents to get them to school. We need to think what's feasible. What is it feasible to think about them falling in a drop hole or whatever, their parents getting in an accident trying to get them safely to school, or is it better for them to swing on a swing? I feel that $255,000 would be a start getting the streets and sidewalks done in Bay City. I don't believe $255,000 for swings and slides are a good thing for the city, and I just want to vote against that. That's just inappropriate to do this to the people when we really need streets. It's a slap in the face.
Thank you. Commissioner Brenner.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I think all of us remember being kids and being in a park. It was probably the best place in the world for us to be, except now the playground equipment's a lot safer. They don't have the metal slides. They don't have the merry-go-round so that you could actually disjoint a shoulder. I know because I did. But one thing about seeing kids in the parks nowadays, they have a blast. It's a great time for them. They can go run and play with their friends. I have a 10-year-old who, as soon as it got warm enough out and there were kids at the park, he was there, playing on the playground, swinging, throwing football. It's a great time. I definitely think this is definitely something that Maplewood Park needs, and I definitely want to support this, and I hope my other fellow commissioners will as well, because the children need something besides tablets and computers to keep them occupied. They need fresh air, they need exercise, and I think that really puts this forward. And the city putting $255,000 of funds into this is extremely important. And also I want to bring up the fact that Commissioner Dockett brought up earlier how we would need roughly $400 million to bring our streets up to snuff. So $255,000 is not really a start, but it can help the youth of tomorrow get some exercise, get outside, socialize, which is so important nowadays. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Brunner. Commissioner
Hackett?
Hackett.
Thank you.
List here.
Thank you. So with regards to playgrounds versus streets, I approach government in the sense of marginal utility. I would, of course, love to have an extremely well-funded streets department, an extremely well-funded police and fire, an extremely well-funded sanitation and parks and everything else. I'd love that. But we do have a set dollar amount that we have to work with each year, and it is very difficult to increase that number, and for good reason, right? Those are your dollars. So what I apply, and I think what most of us apply and what we should be applying, is a concept called marginal utility, and it is the idea of getting the most bang for your buck, right? That's what we're trying to do here, is get the most bang for our buck. What is going to have the greatest impact on the quality of life of a resident of Bay City per dollar? And in this case, you've got $255,000 to put a playground in for a bunch of children. There's a ton of children in that neighborhood around Maplewood Park. There's a ton of them. And you're spending a little bit of money to build connections to the community, make them feel like they're a valued member of the community, and give them an opportunity to get outside and exercise as well. It's also a very underserved area, so it's a very logical place to put a playground and put, these resources. The other part is on the streets. $255,000, as Commissioner Brunner said, is a very small amount of money. If you do a complete rebuild on a street, it doesn't even buy you a block. And people don't notice a block. they're not going to notice a block, but those kids are going to remember this. And the reality of the world that we live in is that we have a declining population. And we have a declining population because raising a child in today's society is incredibly hard. It is insanely difficult, and people are not having children because of it. So anything we can do to encourage people to have children so that the population of this community doesn't decline any faster than it already is probably a good investment. Because we want people to have children. We want them to build communities here. We want them to have their family here, because most of you who have moved away and moved back, you moved back because of your families. If you talk to people who have moved away and moved back, that's normally what it is. We also have to increase that population because that is how you increase that dollar amount that we bring in. Most of the problems that this community has is due to our declining population. We have a city that was built for 60,000 people, and we have 30,000 people to pay for it. And that causes a lot of problems that we all are aware of, you're all aware of, everybody's aware of these problems. This is an attempt to try to fix those problems by getting the most bang for our buck. So I'm gonna be a hard yes on this because I think it's a great thing. And I will say I don't have children, but I still think it's a good idea, even if I don't benefit from it. It's not in my neighborhood or anything like that. I just think it's a great thing to do for society. And I think we've lost track of that at times in our community. So it's really great for us as a community. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Clements?
Yes, thank you. As Commissioner Dockett and Brunner stated, I look at the playground at Vets Park, the new playground, and it's unbelievably busy. Those playgrounds, they not only city residents, but there's people coming from the townships, and they come into the city and hopefully they see how great the stuff in the city is, and maybe they think about moving here, but yet they're gonna, stop at a party store, maybe get gas, go to lunch, whatever. So, it is providing some economic benefit to the city as well. So I think this playground equipment is a great expenditure and something that's needed. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Gerard?
Just for clarification, the funding for this, where does that come from?
This phase for the playground equipment is CDBG funds.
Okay, so it's limited on what can be spent. There's limited resources. I know we are already making maximum sidewalk investment through those funds. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm kind of concerned that where this is at, it's low to moderate income neighborhoods, and to say we don't want it there because you are in a low to moderate income neighborhood. What kind of statement does that say to the community? What's it say to the children in that area that you live in a low to moderate income area, so we're not going to support a playground in your neighborhood? Those folks are already marginalized. We're going to marginalize them more. I think it's an attractive point for families to move to areas that have playgrounds. So I'm going to support this because I don't want to marginalize those folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Burney?
When I say the $255,000 could be used for the streets and, that sort of thing, we won't get into the CDBG funding, which a part of that funding for the CDBG monies is supposed to be used for sidewalks. And, the playgrounds and things like that, that's in there, but it's supposed to be a certain amount of money. It's broken down for streets and sidewalks. In lower to moderate income neighborhoods. We've been talking, if that's the case, and we have to spend it on that, at one point, Bernie Park has not had anything done in over 30 years. So if we're talking about we're gonna put playground equipment somewhere, Mr. Gerard, Commissioner Gerard, you just said 2 years ago we were gonna invest in a water park or a waterfall or some type of things at Bernie Park, and we talked about the Bernie Park. If we're gonna do anything, there hasn't been anything done at Bernie Park for 30 years with swings and benches, or we don't have any of that. We don't even have a bench. So why If it's for lower to moderate income neighborhoods and you want to do some swing sets, if we have to spend it on that instead of sidewalks and streets, why don't we take it over to the real lower, as people call it, the hood? Why don't we take that money and use it for the park that has no benches, that has no swing set? And let's put it this way, the shelter, Samaritan Good Shelter, it's right across the street. That'd be a good place to put swings and slides and that sort of thing because it's a shelter. Homeless people live right across the street. $255,000 to sure build a nice park for them children. Those are homeless people. Why not use it for there?
You all set? Commissioner, you all set, Commissioner? Commissioner Dodd?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you. You don't pick your favorite child. I don't believe in that, but I do think that in the future we should explore improvements of Bernie Park. So I think that's a great idea, and I hope that we can do that in future years. This one's got the bid in place, and I think it's a great thing for the community. Please call the question.
We're going to call the roll on number 10, Sinclair. Commissioner Gerard.
Yes.
Clements.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Dockett.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Rivet.
Yes.
Bernie.
No.
Brunner.
Yes.
Hilliker.
Yes.
7 yes, 1 no.
The motion is approved, and that completes tonight's business. Thank you all.